Today we're gonna do this butterfly haircut. This haircut's really great if you wanna have a lot of layers and volume in the hair, but you wanna keep all of your length. So let's get started. For the sectioning, start by splitting the hair down the middle. Then you're gonna take a horizontal parting that works all the way around the head, and that's gonna split the top from the bottom. You can isolate the sections by creating small knots and using a clip to secure them. And so this is the key to creating all of those feathered flowing layers without cutting into our length. You should end up with 2 sections on each side for 4 total sections. So by clipping that bottom section away, we're protecting the length and density while we start to create all of these layers in the top. That's gonna make it easier to blend our way down so we can preserve all of the length in the haircut. Start by taking a small triangle section right in the center front. It should be about the width of your finger. This will start our soft face framing angle and becomes our guide for the rest of the haircut. We're going to cut an A line here, meaning it's shortest in the middle and longer to the outer corners. Now take your first diagonal subsection just behind the guide. Comb the hair into your guide and connect the line, continuing the same diagonal angle, shorter near the face and longer towards the bottom. Make sure to keep the hair elevated as you cut. This will keep the face frame looking soft instead of heavy and blunt. Finish the first section on both sides, check that they're balanced, and then keep working your way back. You might need to break the hair into smaller subsections just to keep control. That way you can cut one continuous connected line. You'll know you cut the section correctly if, when you comb it down, it flows nicely and clearly shows that soft, layered face frame. The key thing to understand here is your over direction. By pulling your sections from the back to the front guide, you're naturally keeping more length and weight in the back, while still blending everything into those shorter front layers. Just remember, pull the hair away from where you want to leave length. Now to balance out the top layers, take a center subsection and then elevate it straight up. You're going to cut a short to long line that starts just behind the bang section and works its way towards the crown. Now just bring the rest of the hair up to meet that center guide and connect the shape. This section determines how much volume we can get when we blow dry the hair, so if you want to cut shorter layers in the crown, this is the time to do it. Just adjust how steep of a diagonal line you're cutting, so if you want to cut more layers in the crown, just get it more horizontal, and if you want to maintain more of that length and create a longer look, just keep the line diagonal. Now we're going to blend the top section into the bottom. So take a small piece of hair from the bottom of the top section. Then take your first vertical subsection, comb it forward, and cut a line that connects that guide to the length. This is going to bring your face framing down from the top section and blend it into the bottom. Keep working with vertical subsections and over-direct from the back towards the front. This lets you keep those nice short layers up front while blending them into the longer ones in the back. Now we're cutting a diagonal line to help keep length through the ends. But if you wanted a more Farrah Fawcett inspired style with tons of layers, you could shift your fingers to a horizontal angle, and this would cut even more layers and give you that fluffy, voluminous finish. You'll notice the further back you go, the less hair actually gets cut. This is normal because the hair at the back has a longer distance to travel to the front, so it naturally keeps more length. So this naturally forms a soft V shape through the back without having to manually carve it in. And you can always adjust this after layering by cutting off the excess length if you prefer to have a round or square look to your ends. To finish layering the back, pull each section to the center back and elevate it high. Then cut a soft line that connects your top guide all the way to the ends. This creates a nice blended connection from the layers above and helps add extra movement and flips when we style the back. So we're pretty much done with the wet portion of the haircut. I'm curious what your biggest takeaway is from this haircut lesson, so drop it in the comments because I'd love to know what's clicking. I'm using some of the Kenra Volume Mousse Extra. So the mousse is going to help the hair to dry in the shape of the roller. It works without mousse too, but if you use a mousse, it's going to give it a longer lasting style and your hair will just hold the curl and it'll bounce a lot more. So we blow dried the hair, basically 80% dry. Most of the water is out of there, but you can see it's still a little damp through the ends. But you don't want to do the rollers on super wet hair because it's going to take too long, so blow dry most of the moisture out of the hair before you go in with a round brush. But it's kind of cute how fluffy it is even just after blow drying with your fingers. So we're just setting the hair on the way up and we're rolling the rollers down. You can see how much more movement is added just when it sets in the rollers. Hey, so I want to answer some of the questions I get about this haircut. The first question is, how does it look on hair that's not blow dried? And that's a valid question because it does have a lot of layers. So when you don't blow dry the hair, you're going to really clearly see all of those layers you created. Some people might call this choppy looking, so you do have to be aware of that. But if your hair does get puffy naturally, like it gets a lot of volume or gets really big, because you're cutting so many layers in the top area, it's going to get a lot of volume there, so just keep that in mind. Some people prefer to have longer layers that like weigh their hair down, and this is doing the opposite of that. The next question is, how do you blow dry the hair to get this look? So in the video too, I showed somewhat of a roller set. You can do any roller set really on the hair. The idea is just though that you want to set the hair on something, because it's going to be really limp and flat if you're not doing some sort of a blow dry set. So make sure that you're drying the hair with a round brush, creating that slight curl, and then while the hair is still warm, just wrap it up in a roller and allow it to cool completely. Will this look good on thin hair? So this haircut can make thin hair just look even thinner, just to be real. So if you want to do this haircut and you have thin hair, you've got to make adjustments. Some things you could do is lower the elevation while you're cutting so you maintain more of the weight in your lines. And then also cut blunt lines instead of point cutting just to keep the fullness and weight through the ends. And you could also cut the ends square. So instead of cutting a V shape, you just cut more of like a square shape or a U shape, and that'll make the perimeter look thicker as well. And one last question, where do you get your mannequins from? So I left a link in the description, but I do get most of my mannequins from Pivot Point. So this was Natalia we used in the video, and I did leave a link in the description where you can buy her. And you can also use code GALAD10 at checkout for a little discount, and it'll also help support me and the channel. And that's all there is to it. So that's how you get the layered butterfly haircut. This is referenced based on one of my most popular videos on TikTok and Instagram, the extreme butterfly layering. In that video, I'm sectioning the hair in 3 sections, but this time I tried to simplify it by giving you 2 sections. So it's really similar to that haircut, but just a little bit easier to do. So if you liked this video, make sure to check out my other videos. I've got wolf cuts, hush cuts, mullets, all sorts of hair that you can just kind of watch and learn and maybe try out yourself. But until next time, thanks for watching. Leave a comment if you liked it and let me know what other haircuts you want to learn. And if you have any questions that I missed in the video, also let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time.